Former President Donald Trump made his first post-presidency public appearance at the Conservative Political Action Conference this weekend, where he and his fellow Republicans continued to repeat their deranged lies about everything from COVID to the 2020 election to Mr. Potato Head. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Now, the grotesque symbolism of Trump's return to the political spotlight nearly a year after the coronavirus pandemic upended our lives could not have been more stark. Remember, it was almost exactly a year ago that Trump, as president, was saying stuff like this.
It's going to disappear. One day, it's like a miracle. It will disappear. View this the same as the flu. We're testing everybody that we need to test, and we're finding very little problem. We're going to be pretty soon at only 5 people, and we could be at just 1 or 2 people over the next short period of time. It's a little like the regular flu that we have flu shots for. And we'll essentially have a flu shot for this in a fairly quick manner. When you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to 0, that's a pretty good job we've done.
Well, hats off. A pretty good job indeed. 15 people going down to 0. Look, I'm as critical of the man as anyone. But give credit where credit's due. The coronavirus was surging throughout the world, but thanks to Trump's wishful thinking, we maxed out at 15 cases. And like a miracle, it disappeared and quickly went down to 0. Now, I should say as a disclaimer, immediately after Trump made that comment, I went into a year-long coma after I took my kids to a skate park and tried to look cool by doing a kickflip at the end of the half pipe. First, I landed on my nards and blacked out from the pain. Then I woke up and because I blacked out, forgot what happened. So I tried the kickflip again and did it successfully, or at least that's what I thought, until I woke up in the hospital this morning with a bandage on my head, only to have my kids tell me I embarrassed them at the skate park and that Trump was way off on his prediction. The Seth Meyers you've been seeing on TV for the last year has actually been Eddie Redmayne in what I would consider the role of a lifetime. While I was in a coma, I did have an elaborate dream where I developed a close personal relationship with a sea captain. That's neither here nor there. Anyway, I guess I shouldn't be surprised Trump was wrong, as he's the last person I'd ever trust on the subject of miracles. The guy is the least religious man in history. I'm certain he couldn't even name one miracle from the Bible if you asked him. Jesus took water, channeled it through a shell company, and appreciated it as real estate for tax purposes so he could record it as a loss. Boom, tax liability gone. That's why he could afford 2 Corinthians. And that was a big deal at the time because most people only had the 1 Corinthian. But Jesus walked through town with 2, and people said, that's a guy you can get behind. And of course, it wasn't just Trump who denied the reality of COVID, which led to hundreds of thousands of preventable deaths. In fact, at the exact same Conservative Political Action Conference 1 year ago, former Vice President Mike Pence had this to say about the looming coronavirus threat.
President Donald Trump has no higher priority than the health, safety, and well-being of the American people. And while the risk to the American public remains low, as the president said yesterday, we're ready.
No, you weren't. You were ready for the coronavirus the same way Rick Sanchez was ready for the stun gun.
I'm about to receive 50,000 volts of electricity. Do it. Oh! It hurts.
Oh, does it? I couldn't tell from your preposterous reaction. Man, the news used to be a lot easier to make fun of. Statute of limitations isn't closed on that one, Sanchez. My favorite thing about that clip is how he reacts like he just ate a hot pepper in a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Ay, 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 ay! Those comments for Trump and Pence were almost exactly a year ago. Pence's comments were even at last year's CPAC. Fast forward 1 year, and of course, we have witnessed the unimaginable, devastating toll of 500,000 dead and an economic crash unprecedented in our lifetimes that has left millions without jobs and health insurance and caused millions more to experience poverty and food insecurity. And if you watched CPAC this weekend, it was clear that the ghouls who either ignored, dismissed, or actively abetted that misery and suffering have learned absolutely nothing.
First, Fauci said, you don't need masks, no good, no. Then all of a sudden he wanted me, now he wants double masks.
I don't know if you agree with me, but Dr. Fauci is wrong a lot.
Now they're saying everybody can get immunized. We can have herd immunity everywhere, and we're going to wear masks for the next 300 years. And by the way, not just 1 mask, 2, 3, 4. You can't have too many masks.
I'm guessing Cruz's doctor told him to wear 4 masks, but not for the reason he thinks. Ted, if you're not going to shave that janky beard, it's the only option. God damn it, Ted, listen to me! No one wants to hear your whiny little right-wing stand-up act. You sound like a 50-year-old accountant trying comedy to distract yourself from your divorce. This crowd is electric, which is nice for me because my state doesn't have electricity. Hey, if you don't like these jokes, don't blame me. My daughters wrote them. In fact, Cruz really did start out his smarmy little tirade with a joke about the firestorm he caused when he fled to a luxury resort in Cancun as his constituents were freezing to death in an unprecedented blackout.
I gotta say, Orlando is awesome. It's not as nice as Cancun.
Oh, you are ice cold. Sorry, I meant to say your constituents are ice cold because they didn't have heat for a week, but good singer. So we went from Cancun to Orlando with a brief stop in his home state in between. Cruz roughly has the same enthusiasm for helping his constituents in Texas as Al Pacino has for attending the Golden Globes.
All right, we're gonna Zoom tonight. I will see you in the Zoom room.
Looks like he's waiting for an Uber at 2 a.m. in the lobby at Dan Tana's.
I guess I had a little too much gristle.
Also, let's take a second to go back and talk about South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, who you just heard there brag about her state's coronavirus response, despite the fact that South Dakota has the country's 8th highest death rate from COVID-19 overall. And since July, South Dakota's mortality rate has been the highest in the country. Noem refused to implement a statewide mask mandate and bragged about resisting lockdowns and other public health measures used to curb the spread of the virus. South Dakota was infamously the site of the motorcycle rally in Sturgis, which turned out to be a massive super spreader event that could have been linked to over 250,000 cases across at least a dozen states that may have seeded an entire outbreak in the upper Midwest. I didn't think anyone could outdo Trump in spreading the virus, but she came close. She might as well packed a stadium full of people with fevers and loaded a T-shirt cannon with used tissues. And yet, she got a standing ovation from the wingnut crowd for saying Fauci is wrong a lot. And by the way, mock him all you want. I have a feeling Anthony Fauci doesn't give a about your stupid little zings. Dude was played by Brad Pitt on SNL, and he's zooming with Kim Kardashian, Katy Perry, and Matthew McConaughey. I'm pretty sure he's doing all right, all right, all right. When Fauci goes back to his old Brooklyn neighborhood, I bet he struts down the street like a newly made man in a chinchilla coat. Oh, it's Fauci. That's right. Tony the Fauci is back. Looking good, Tone. Right back at you, Mickey. Hey, Dr. Fauci, why don't you come over sometime? I'll make you some gabagool. You got it, darling. Just wear 2 masks, because the kind of cool Fauci is very contagious.
Oh, look at that. Fauci's back.
Al Pacino.
You're welcome to come to my Zoom room.
Then Noem tried to take another victory lap in an interview on CBS Sunday, and when she was confronted with the actual facts of the disaster she oversaw in her state, she did not have a very convincing response.
As of today, the CDC says your state has the 8th highest death rate per capita in the U.S. That's a rate of deaths per 100,000 residents. Don't you think your decisions as an executive contributed?
You know, South Dakota's infection rate peaked earlier than a lot of other places in the country, so we're definitely on the downward trend and peaked earlier than what you're seeing happen across the country.
One of your fellow Republicans, West Virginia's Governor Jim Justice, held up your state as an example of what not to do when it comes to his decision to institute a mask mandate. He said, "I don't want to be South Dakota." Why do you think your state got hit so hard?
Our state peaked earlier than other states. What I'd like to know, Margaret, is why are you asking Cuomo these questions?
Stop saying your state peaked early. It's not a defense. You let the virus run rampant. You're talking about a deadly pandemic like a burnout uncle reminiscing about his football glory days.
Oh, sure, I may get winded on the walk to the mailbox, but that's only because I peaked early. Should have seen me in Pop Warner. Had an arm like a cannon.
Also, Governor Noem, I don't know if you've been watching the news lately, but Cuomo has been getting lots of deserved, tough questions and calls to resign about, among other things, credible allegations of sexual harassment, covering up the COVID death toll in nursing homes, and being a bully who makes threatening phone calls. It's so bad for Cuomo right now, even his nipples want out. I mean, that has to be what it is, right? Them trying to escape? And sure, people liked his briefings early on, but so what? That was just in comparison to Trump. Now that we have a president who can also correctly tell us what day of the week it is, it's all just a lot less impressive. So that's a sample of what CPAC was like. Then there was Trump. Of course, he repeated the same demented lies about the 2020 election that fueled the January 6th insurrection. I'm not even going to repeat those lies here because they're so obviously unhinged from reality. He's never offered a single shred of proof, and he lost 60 times in court. But I do want to talk about this.
What the Trump administration has done with vaccines has, in many respects, perhaps saved large portions of the world, not only our country, but large portions of the world. 100% of the increased availability that we have now was initiated by our administration. And as conservatives and Republicans, never forget that we did it. Never let them take the credit because they don't deserve the credit. They just followed now, they're following our plan.
What? You want credit for the vaccines? You left the vaccine rollout a mess. There was no plan in place. You didn't even buy enough when you had the chance. What did you do besides, say, make a vaccine? I can't imagine you tinkering in the lab saying we should use an mRNA platform instead of an adenovirus. I mean, if Trump ever even saw the word mRNA, he'd probably think it was a guy named Mr. Nah. We're working very hard with Mr. Nah to produce more vaccines. Mr. Nah, bad guy. Mean guy. Nice to me, though. Loves me. So the Conservative Political Action Conference revealed yet again that the modern conservative movement is a personality cult fostering a sociopathic political culture of paranoia and conspiracy theories that's fully unmoored from reality. At one point, Donald Trump Jr. even suggested a more accurate name would be the Trump Political Action Conference.
How's it going, CPAC? Or I heard someone earlier phrase it a little bit better. T-PAC. That's what it feels like, guys.
T-PAC? Even they didn't know what to do with that. You couldn't think of anything lamer? I think T-PAC is the name of a pink eye medication. T-PAC sounds like the name of a off-brand Tupac hologram at a festival that couldn't get the rights to use his real name. Welcome to the Coachella Festival. Please welcome T-PAC, singing his classic song, California Hugs. Then at another point, Kimberly Guilfoyle suggested Trump would accomplish more as an ex-president than Biden would accomplish as the actual president.
I will confidently say that President Trump, from his desk at Mar-a-Lago, will accomplish more for America in the next 4 years than Joe Biden and Kamala Harris could ever dream of.
Have you ever even seen him at his desk at Mar-a-Lago? He looks like a tourist posing for a photo at Letterman's old desk. He's just holding a pen and what appears to be an empty notepad like a therapist who hasn't been paying attention during the session. And yet, the conference also proved that Trump is also as politically weak as he's ever been among the hardcore Republicans at CPAC. He only got 55% of the vote in a straw poll, and only 68% want him to run again. If you can't even get above 55% with these wingnuts, how could you ever get a majority in a national election? This is your crowd. It's like if you open a store that sells monocles and artisanal pickles in Williamsburg. If you don't make a killing there, you're not going to do better in, like, Staten Island. But the only truly unifying thing at CPAC, the beating heart of modern conservatism, where the dumb, invented culture war grievances, is evidenced by their complaints about total nonsense like the Muppets and Mr. Potato Head.
This month alone, they've banned the Muppets.
You see last week they tried to cancel Kermit the Frog and Mr. Potato Head? You see that?
Look out, Mr. Potato Head. You're next.
I mean, I guess I would be concerned about Mr. Potato Head if I answered to Mr. Blockhead. I mean, Matt Gaetz' head has sharper corners than military sheets. Also, that's really what you think Americans care about? Amid a pandemic and economic crash, the Muppets and Mr. Potato Head? My kids don't even care about the Muppets and Mr. Potato Head. They want to watch Fortnite streams on Twitch, even though I have been trying to get them into the new online Ocean Master. You get tiles for every reef you explore, and then you use the tiles to build islands to mine ore, and whoever mines the most ore gets to control the Würfel, which is German for dice. It's fun! The Conservative Political Action Conference revealed once again that the modern conservative movement remains totally detached from reality and the mainstream American politics. People care about the pandemic and the economic crash, but at CPAC, they're obsessed with lies about the election, Mr. Potato Head, and the Muppets. And yet still, Trump couldn't crack 55%. When Trump heard he only got 55%, he must have been like, It's been a closer look. God's Love We Deliver cooks and brings over 2 million meals a year to men, women, and children living with HIV, AIDS, cancer, and other serious illnesses, and they need your help now more than ever. If you're watching this online, you can hit the donate button. Stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask. We love you.